Welcome to the Porn Reboot Podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode.
Brothers, today we're going to be talking about withdrawal symptoms, and specifically, I am going to be clarifying the withdrawal eliminator method, which is something that I came up with a couple of years ago while I was coaching men in the earlier days to ending their out-of-control behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation. One of the things I had noticed was that when men were dealing with withdrawal symptoms, there was a tendency to want to run away from it. There was a tendency to seek immediate relief, which absolutely makes sense. You've been living with something for so long that your biochemistry, your brain, so much of you has normalized to that stimuli. When it's taken away, you have not created or put in place the appropriate coping strategies to deal with that stimuli. And sometimes you're lost because you don't even know what's happening. You don't even know what you're missing. You're like, why do I feel this way? What can I use to replace it? And you can only use willpower to deal with this for so long until you go back to the one thing you know is going to make you feel not better, but normal again, because you don't know how to live with this abnormal feeling, which is often painful. And of course, some strong emotions are going to arise, like the emotion of, oh my goodness, is this what it is like to live without pornography? Is it painful? Is it fatiguing? Is this where all this irritability is? This brain fog? This lack of sexual desire? Are all these things the reality of a man who does not live with pornography? Now, of course, that's not logical. There's something more to it. If not, you wouldn't even be listening to this podcast or be in the program. But of course, over time, as you suffer through the pain, something will say, hey, this is not worth it. Just take a hit so you can feel normal. The only information out there was distract yourself. Distract yourself, take a cold shower, go for a run. And this wasn't bad advice, but you could tell that whomever was giving the advice was not giving it with any certainty. And years ago, when I say years ago, I'm like 7-8 years ago, there was nobody online that you could look at and you could say, oh, this guy has definitively not only ended his behavior with pornography, but we can actually in real time actively watch his life changing. One of the reasons that I had did this was not just because I could bring relief to men who are struggling with this behavior, but that I could take men to a point where they are thriving in their lives. And I am still absolutely willing to be open and transparent about my life, the ups and downs of my life, what my life is like after pornography, and allow you to draw parallels with your life or to get hope from it. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just going to share how I dealt with withdrawal and how my clients in the early days when I was doing more one-on-one actually dealt with it. And it comes from principles and mindsets. There are a lot of techniques, there are a lot of tips, there are a lot of approaches that you can use. But my brother, if it is not rooted in some sort of principle, the moment it fails you for whatever reason, a logistical reason, you wake up late, you're tired, you have biochemistry, you forget to use it, it doesn't match your personality, you're just going to throw it aside. But it's risky to throw aside a tip or a technique that you are using to deal with the pain of withdrawal, because then you don't have many choices left except to go back to your behavior and then feel hopeless the next time withdrawal comes around, because now you don't have any belief that in the ability of the technique to help you. So I knew that men would drift away from the porn reboot system if I just threw random techniques at you. We have lots of techniques, we have lots of tools, we have lots of tips, but I consistently emphasize that they have to be rooted in principles. One of my clients said a couple of months ago in a one-on-one call, this is an OG client of mine, worked with me for many years, and he says, one of the things I like about working with you, JK, and why I keep coming back is that unlike everybody else out there that talks about sexual behavior and pornography, you're the only one who seems like a philosopher about it. You're the only one who is constantly reminding us that we need to become the best expert at ourselves. We need to go into our values and our standards, which are rooted in principles, and everything is built from there. Of course, because this is called rebooting, not recovery. How can you recover something based on, I'm going to go back to the things and recover things that I've lost? Lost what? Have you changed your principles? Have you changed your standards? Have you changed your values? Have you changed your mindset? Have you changed your belief? Of course not. So your identity as an addict will never change. Hence, rebooting. Hit the reset button. Let's rebuild it all together. And that's what I'm going to be talking about as I respond to a wonderful question from a brother who so succinctly broke down his confusion about the withdrawal eliminator method. And I read verbatim from his post. Hey, brothers, he's posting an implementation program. I just rewatched the withdrawal eliminator method, and I was wondering if I got this correct. He says, as far as I could tell, JK was saying that the steps to reducing your withdrawal symptoms are, number 1, accept that this is part of the process rather than stressing about it. Number 2, use your support network. Number 3, use your tools. He then goes on to say, am I missing anything else? Did I miss the point entirely? Like, what do you guys do to eliminate your withdrawal symptoms or at least reduce them? So he sounds genuinely confused because after he watched this module, he was like, are you trying to tell me that for me to stop dealing with this pain I am dealing with right now, this long suffering, that JK is saying, accept this, that it's part of the process, and stop stressing about it. Use your support network and use your tools. It reads like an AI summary of what I said. And this is probably a very right-brained, logical individual who's reading this. So obviously, I have to make room for that. So here's my response. In case you may have felt some kind of way or similarly about any of the modules or any of the things that you've heard me say, and you're going like, wait, this JK guy, I think he has a tendency to simplify things. Well, it depends on who you ask. There are also people out there who are like, this guy's complicating something that is super simple. All you need is Jesus. Okay, I digress. Here's my response. The only thing that brothers in our program tend to miss when they simplify something from a module or from a training or even from a coaching session is there is a natural tendency to miss the taking action part. See, if this brother actually accepted the first point that he summarized, which was JK said that number 1, it's accept that this is part of the process rather than stressing about it. If he actually accepted that this is part of the process, he wouldn't be in the group asking for feedback about how people, quote unquote, eliminated it. Definitely right-brained. He said it read withdrawal eliminator method. And he's like, oh my goodness. Obviously, there's going to be a magic pill in here to eliminate it. Listen, the moment that you accept that withdrawal symptoms are a normal and natural response to removing yourself from hyperstimuli, let me emphasize the hyper part of that. Pornography is not normal stimuli. There is nothing normal about high-speed internet pornography. Whether you watch it for 5 seconds or 5 hours and you're out there gooning on it. We'll talk about gooning in another episode. The moment that you accept that they are normal and natural as a response to removing yourself from that hyperstimuli, the less emotional you're actually going to feel about them. But you have to come to that logical conclusion first. You can't just read it or watch it and not take pause and say, okay, so this is why this is happening to me. I see too many men caught up in the withdrawal. You get so caught up that you completely lose your presence of mind. There is zero logic. It's painful, it's painful, it's painful. Why is it so hard to deal with this urge? Why is it so hard to deal with the depression? That question comes to your mind. You've lost what we call the balance of your mind. You are no longer able to jump between the strong emotions and the logic. So you cannot even use tools like the rational-irrational behavior exercise. Very simple exercise. Draw a line down a piece of paper. One side, label it irrational one side, label it rational, and begin to just dump the thoughts there and separate them into rational versus irrational. You can do the same thing with emotions if you have that level of awareness. But you can't even do that the moment you are caught up in the withdrawal. So this is one of the examples of how a tool like the rational, irrational behavior exercise or emotions exercise will not work if you do not ground yourself in the reality that the withdrawal symptom is normal and natural. That is the prerequisite. Somebody wants to use rational emotive behavioral therapy. Any tool from that modality of treatment, which is something that I was trained in, yet you will not allow yourself to pause for a moment the minute you experience withdrawal. You immediately, I want to eliminate it. I want to eliminate it. I want to eliminate it. No balance of the mind. There is no logic behind that. So the decision you will inevitably end up making is going to be an emotional one, which is view pornography or engage in some action that will lead you towards that. When you accept that it is normal and you become less emotional, when I say less emotional, it could be 5, I'm just using random arbitrary numbers, right? Measurements. Let's say 5% less emotional. That is really all you need. You don't need so much. What needs to happen is you need to not be caught up in the whirlwind of that emotion of, hopelessness. Oh, it's so hard. It's so tough. But then you come to realize that your discomfort with withdrawal is actually what leads you back to your relapse. It's like a person who fasts regularly. When you don't eat food for long periods of time, let's say you do intermittent fasting and you can go for 16, 18 hours without eating, you're not going to experience quote unquote hunger. When you first start, it's going to seem like you're going to die. You go, my blood sugar is low. I'm going to pass out. I need to eat. Anybody who's fasted at night, especially that first night or second night, you're like, oh my God, I don't think I can make it. My mind, my cravings are just like a monster. But after a couple of days, you no longer experience hunger. It doesn't mean that your body doesn't want nutrition. And it doesn't mean that hunger has completely gone away. It's still there, but it is very low level at this point. When it comes up, you're now able to tell whether it is a need to sustain your body and nourish your body, or if it's just the habit we have in the modern Western world of just stuffing shit in our face at random times. Or like a person who lifts weights doesn't experience soreness in the same way. When you first start lifting weights or you do an exercise you've never done before and you push yourself, well, the next day you're going to be all kinds of sore. Oh my God, I can't walk for a few days. I can't lift my hands above my head. But fast forward months later, you're lifting 2-3 times that weight, no soreness. As a matter of fact, you come to enjoy the pump. You come to enjoy going to the gym. You are enjoying the process of ripping your muscle fibers, putting in thousands of micro tears through your muscle fibers. And some of you go 4 or 5 times a week and do this for 2-3 hours. The same way you experience that, so will you no longer experience withdrawal. There is so much strong belief behind sexual behavior. There are so many powerful subconscious messages that have been dropped by society, by your upbringing, by culture. A lot of it relating to things like how rare sex is, or how bad it is, or how enjoyable it is. And these are very subconscious messages. Something as simple as you have to wait till you are married before you have sex. You just think, that's something because it's bad. But you don't understand the psychological impact of placing sex on such a pedestal. It becomes taboo. It becomes something that is precious. You do not understand the subconscious motivation of sex. And thus, when you experience withdrawal from the messed up version of it that has now displayed itself thanks to repression, you don't know how to deal with it. It becomes this overwhelming thing. Withdrawal is mostly overwhelming, not because it actually is overwhelming, my brother, but because of the meaning you have put on not experiencing orgasm, together with the real biological impact of withdrawal. But the biological part, as I've demonstrated by talking about fasting and a lack of food and going to the gym and lifting incredibly heavy shit, is not as intense as you think it is in reality. It is all perception. And my goal is to get you to the late or the maintenance stage where you can begin to experience this new reality for yourself. You will not experience this reality in a traditional recovery program. You will only experience this reality in a program that breaks down your beliefs about sex, about addiction, about willpower, about your innate ability. Some of y'all are out there dealing with depression, about to destroy your entire marriage, ruin your kids' future, impose trauma on them. Some of you have spent so many years believing that, oh, I have a problem. Every problem in my life is a result of pornography. The withdrawal symptoms, I've given up. They are hopeless. There is more bullshit that is driving the belief around this thing that is called pornography addiction than anything else. And the reason I actually jumped on to put this podcast out, because I have a lot of other things that are going on in life. One thing, gentlemen, being my focus on the brothers who are actually serious about rebooting. I spend most of my time prepping for them because we have massive goals this year. Is that I'm starting to see all these people showing up on podcasts and YouTube, people running their mouth about pornography addiction that don't know what the heck they're saying. And they are starting to lead a lot of brothers astray. And now my team is saying, GK, we're getting all these people who've worked with some other coach and they're coming in and we don't want to work with them. And I'm like, why? Like, because we now have to untrain them from more bullshit. Semen retention? What the fuck? What the heck is, I'm not even going to go off on that. But there's some crazy stuff being shared out there that sounds like it's making sense, but it is not done or being shared by people who have a lived experience of this. Back to what I was saying. Those withdrawal symptoms you experience, those very real withdrawal symptoms, things like, the effects from lack of focus, porn-induced erectile dysfunction, the lack of motivation, these things are real. But they are temporary, and that is more important than the fact that they are real. Oh, I am sick. I have COVID. I have the flu. You know what you do? You focus more on the fact that you have the flu or you have a common cold than the fact that it's going to leave you. So your ass doesn't want to sit down and relax. You don't want to calm down because you do not have the certainty that it is going to pass. And you start doing all sorts of stupid stuff, which only serves to hurt your body more, stress your immune system out, and extend the length of your suffering. It is temporary. That is more important. That is why you've never been laid out by a cold. Like, by laid out, I mean like you've never been like, oh my God, these colds are just so consistent in my life. I don't know what I'm going to do. It is only this understanding that allows you to operate in spite of the withdrawal. Some of you at this point are getting it. But there are still some of you who are sitting there skeptical because you are so stubborn and arrogant, because you still believe that there's some special technique out there that is explained in a scientific way that's going to do something that's going to reduce your withdrawal. I have a back pocket full of that fancy shit. I have supplements I share with people that can increase your dopamine, your serotonin. I can bullshit about those things and talk. When by bullshit, I don't mean say untrue things. I mean bullshit because it's bullshit if we're not doing the most important thing, which is focusing on the principles and the beliefs behind all of this. You want supplements that you can take? I could have formed a supplement line and sold them to you. There are a bunch of supplements that will help. But all that's going to happen is you're going to get hooked on a bunch of supplements that are going to fuck your kidneys up in the long run and your liver. Not because the supplements don't work. I still take them till today. But because you're going to end up abusing them because you never learned about the freaking principles behind doing this. So then you become dependent on these supplements. As much of a capitalist as I am, I will admit that I'm a staunch capitalist. I'm still not going to do it to the point that I will abandon my principles and be like, well, yeah, there's a supplement that you can take to do blah, 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 blah. No, get the principle first before we talk about any of those things. Temporary. Now, finally, my brother, intellectually understanding a module or a training that I put out there, or even a podcast, is not the same thing as accepting the principle behind it. When you intellectually understand something like, I'm experiencing withdrawal symptoms, I know I should accept them, but I really find them so annoying and unbearable, so I'll keep asking for the magic bullet, despite years of realizing that there isn't a magic bullet. The result is that no one gives you a magic pill to eliminate or reduce it. Or worse still, you go out there and you buy something somebody promises you, and they tell you and they promise you that, oh, it's a magic pill that's going to eliminate it or reduce it. Hey, by the way, even Jesus can be a magic pill if you're not willing to go down to the principle or the belief around it. And let me tell you, if your spiritual understanding or approach of this does not take you, or whoever is guiding you to that, does not take you to the rebooting part, they're probably not doing it right. Because some of you also need a spiritual reboot. Some of you that are Christians, that are Muslims, from other religion, wherever you are, if you are religious, you actually need to go back to your religious conditioning and do it the right way. There are men who reboot and are very spiritual. There are men who reboot and they pray all the time. And the only reason I see them do it is because rebooting is in alignment with their spiritual beliefs. They're still not looking for a technique, or that not prioritizing, rather, a technique or a tip. So you don't get the magic pill that's going to eliminate or reduce it. Or you get a response that seems vague. Why does the response seem vague? Because the magic pill that they're giving you, it's not the magic pill you want. You will scour the internet. You will look for therapists. You will find a person that tells you, I promise you that with this simple pill, I will eliminate it. Then you look at the person, you're like, I want the person to look and sound and have the pedigree that makes me feel comfortable so that I can accept it. Still a magic pill, still not going to give you what you want. Now, you feel, because you haven't gotten the magic pill, that you have to deal with it raw. You're like, I have to raw dog this withdrawal process. You get overwhelmed and you relapse. You've learned nothing, but you've probably spent a lot of years doing this dumb shit. Accepting the mindset that I'm experiencing withdrawal symptoms. It's okay. It sucks. It's going to pass. You know what I'm going to ask the brothers instead in this group? You know what I'm going to ask people who are going through this experience? How long did it typically last for you? What were your withdrawal symptoms like? You ask that. What tool can I use to get through this? Not what tool could I use to eliminate this? Here's the result if you take that approach instead. Number one, you realize that it passes. And instead of focusing on the pain and the inconvenience of the withdrawal symptom, you focus on your ability to be present and manage emotions around withdrawal as they come up. You learn how to slow down and to be kind to yourself after a relapse. And most importantly, you actually learn experientially, not intellectually, that the withdrawal is not what you think it is. It is not what you've thought it is this entire time. People who have hangovers from drinking only keep drinking because they never build a functional life or stay present enough while hungover to actually analyze the consequences of their behavior. Go online and find out hangover cure. People are looking for a cure for the hangover. We know what the cure for the hangover is. Don't fucking drink, or don't drink so much. But everyone's online. They're moaning about the hangover. They're looking for the hangover cure. They will buy the hangover cure. They will spend more money on the hangover cure. What's the difference between that and dealing with the withdrawal, which doesn't come randomly? God doesn't just bless you with a withdrawal symptom. You have to do something just as you weren't just blessed with a hangover. The moment a drinker who experiences hangovers actually gets present to the hangover, the true nature of their reason for drinking comes up. Questions like, why would I knowingly put myself through this? One of the questions that come up, why would I put myself, why? Why am I doing this to myself? They are finally able to actually be present to what triggers them to drink in the first place, as opposed to thinking that they simply enjoy drinking and it's worth the hangover. The same thing is similar with withdrawals. Experience and action over intellectualization and insight. I'll say it again. Experience and action in rebooting is what we take over intellectualization and insight. It's why I haven't written some great book on pornography addiction yet. Not because I don't want to write it or it wouldn't be a freaking awesome book. It would be. But quite honestly, I can't stand the idea of people in public, on public forums, intellectualizing about my book. I don't like courses. I want you to sit in front of a human being. I want you to interact with a bunch of human beings and get help. Here's the brutal truth. This is not a course. Porn Reboot is not a course. Elevated Recovery is not a course. It is a daily lived experience with a curated community where you get daily feedback. And that is how transformation happens, because that is the only thing we're here to do. We are here to transform your life. The brutal truth of all of this ends with this. Not every man will be free of this behavior. 2 years ago, you can go back to my podcast episodes, and I was a lot more hopeful. But in the past 2 years, it's not that I've become jaded. First of all, I've become much better at bringing men results. Like, I thought I was good. Now I know for a fact that I'm better than I even thought, because I have dedicated my life to this and understanding it. But one thing that I cannot change is the trajectory of human society. You can see how degenerate our world is becoming right before your very eyes. In the last 2 years, so much stuff that growing up, we would never, and when I say we, it doesn't matter whether you're Gen X, millennial like myself, or even Gen Z, we would never accept. It's just becoming mainstream and normalized. Most men will live with an addiction to pornography for the rest of their lives because they are unwilling to do the things that are necessary to end this behavior. And that is not seek help. That is seek connection. That is to be present. Because even the pornography and the technology backing and holding the technology is destroying your ability to stay aware and to stay present. So we now have a new generation of men who have never known what it's like to experience sustained attention. If you are a millennial or Gen X, then you are actually one of the fortunate ones, because you can remember a time, even though you may have grown up with a computer in your home, depending on your age, you remember a time when this stuff was very hard to come by. We are the last generation that actually has experience of a time with analog, in a more analog world. So you must be present. You must have connection. Without these things, there is no way that you can sustainably maintain your reboot. And there's certainly I won't go to say no way because I'm not a hopeless person, but let's just say it is going to be extremely challenging for you to free yourself from this. This year, my brother, is my last year of group coaching in this program. Our program will remain. We have many, many highly trained coaches. We have many clients who are becoming coaches who are excellent at this. I am stepping into bigger things still related to pornography addiction, but more awareness and spreading it. This is the last year that you'll be able to sit in a group with me on Zoom or otherwise and have a conversation and connect with me and another group. So if you have been sitting back, uncertain, waiting for magic money to show up in your wallet for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, dilly-dallying and fucking around, wasting your time with the cheaper option that is not rebooting, yet still listening to my podcast and nodding your head and you're here 32 minutes in, brother, this is the time to go to that description below this podcast, find yourself one of those links, click on it, and find a way to speak to me, because I'm not coming to chase you. The men who are serious are already in our programs, and they will be free. I don't know what you're waiting for. And that, gentlemen, is the breakdown of how to actually approach withdrawal. I hope you found it helpful.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out of control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot Group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.